With that, we will move on to item number 7A, budget review from the Ethics Board. Dr. Amboyer.
I'll do my standard introduction,
Thank you,
which
Steve.
is very quick for the Ethics Board because there's a small budget. It's on page C34 of your budget document. The budget for 2018 is being recommended at $14,600. It's a slight decrease, about $4,400 from 2017. And we were trying to reduce the budget where we could, but we wanted to leave Dr. Amboyer, some room to operate the Ethics Board at his discretion. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Amboyer.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Chair, Dr. Amboyer, representing Macomb County Ethics Board. I'm pleased and honored to be here today to present the budget. It was submitted to the Finance Department on June 22nd. I believe you've all had an opportunity to review the submittal. We concur with the recommendation of the Finance Board, the Finance Department, as well as the County Executive in terms of the budget for fiscal year 2018. I would like to note, however, since the inception of the Ethics Board in 2012 through 2016, the annual budget was $59,000. For the fiscal year 2017, it was reduced to $19,000, and understandably so. The Ethics Board, feel that we're very conservative with taxpayer dollars, just as the Board of Commissioners and the County Executive is, and we haven't spent money needlessly or wantonly by any means. Of the $19,000 budget, we have spent $2,817 to date, $2,500 of which that $2,800 was for a licensing fee for the online training program, which is no longer in existence. So in effect, we've been quite frugal with the monies that have been appropriated by the Board of Commissioners, and we do appreciate those in the past. It's been provided to us. In our submission for the funds, we have indicated the goals, which are also indicated in the board. Whereas our first goal is to suggest that there be significant revisions to Enrolled Ordinance 2016. We've had some very serious difficulties insofar as operationalizing that particular ordinance. In addition to that, we are working in conjunction with Corporation Counsel to improve our rules of procedure to be in accordance with that particular ordinance, 2016-3. We've also considered, and will consider during 2018, whether it would be necessary to retain legal counsel for the Ethics Board to a variety of circumstances that have occurred so far in this current fiscal year. We hope not to. Again, using the resources that we have to be able to continue without retaining legal counsel, but on the other hand, it may become necessary. You may or may not be familiar with the workload, but it's quite substantial for a volunteer board that serves without compensation. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into preparing for the meetings and responding to the public with complaints and concerns that they have. It's very time consuming, to say the least. We're also looking forward to, in our fourth goal for 2018 is to explore the possible changes in some ethics board bylaws that we have in place. And also we're hoping to represent the county in one day of being awarded a National Association of Counties Award for Excellence. We happen to believe that the Macomb County Ethics Board is not only serving the Board of Commissioners, the county executive in an exemplary way, but also the citizens of Macomb County. And we're familiar with the work that has been done and has not been done by other counties throughout the nation, and being quite familiar with the work that the Macomb County Ethics Board has done, we're hoping to one day be recommended to achieve a National Association of Counties Award in Excellence, a NACO award. In terms of our long-term goals, we're hoping to also reinstate the online learning program. It's been quite successful in the past. However, it's been suspended due to changes in the ethics ordinance itself, where that curriculum is no longer appropriate for the ordinance that's in place currently. If in fact that there's ever a change in the ordinance and it's updated, then hopefully we can reinstitute the online training on behalf of the staff and, more importantly, the citizens of Macomb County. And with that, I really don't have any further comments. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to attempt to answer the questions of the commissioners. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Dr. Amboyer. I think my first question might be for the Finance Department. So, ready for it? Okay. It's obvious that the previous, 2015-16, the budget was, in the $2,000 range, and then we jumped it up significantly for some reason in 2017. And I know there was some online training and that sort of thing, but why don't we set the budget reasonably close to what we expect the actual spending to be? I mean, if we've been spending in the $2,000 range, why would we have automatically moved it up to $14,600?
Well, I can tell you that in prior years, up until 2017, the budget was $59,000. So you're looking at actual spends.
Uh-huh.
So the budget was reduced in 17 down to 19,000. We did reduce supplies and services, which is printing. So we reduced that line item by $4,000 this year, still leaving some room for some degree of printing. The contract services, if I'm not mistaken, is mainly for training materials. And legal as well.
Legal has primarily been the concern.
So what could possibly balloon the budget from the couple thousand we've been spending the last few years up to 14,000? What things are we leaving room for? What in case type stuff?
Well, again, the contract services is meant for legal services if in case the ethics board needed to hire outside legal counsel. I guess I'll leave that to Dr. Amboyer.
Right. If in fact there's a need for legal counsel, outside legal counsel, we've had extremely good relationship with Corporation Counsel. It's been very effective. However, there may be a need in the future to have outside counsel. But in addition to that, the expenditure has been for the development of online training services. I volunteered my time in terms of developing the curriculum and so on. However, when that was implemented, it was approximately $15,000 to do it. In conjunction with a partner to bring it online and keep it and activate it and so on, in addition to the full curriculum development. So that was part of the service, part of the budgetary services for professional services was the online training. Those are the two greatest potential expenses.
Well, I'm sorry, just to clarify that, there was a previous cost of around $15,000 for that particular program or that particular online product.
Yes, sir.
And what year did we incur that cost roughly?
That was, I believe that was 2014.
Okay, so it's before my piece of paper in front of me, but.
And then there's annual licensing fees, and we paid a $2,500 licensing fee this year, and then terminated the program due to the change in the ordinance.
I see. Okay, if I may, with just a few more questions, Mr. Chair, thank you. Can you give me an idea of what were the number of complaints that were filed before the Ethics Board in the last year? Or,
that's included in the annual report, which was recently submitted. I believe, I don't have that number in front of me, it's not outrageous. I think there were 7 ethics complaints were filed. There were a number of advisory opinions requests were also submitted, which is time consuming. And then there was approximately 25 inquiries that were made, either written inquiries or phone inquiries that really didn't pertain to the ethics board. For instance, I had one the other day relative to a case in Warren, relative to a police situation. It doesn't pertain to the county ethics board. So those are time consuming, although it might not look so statistically.
Okay. And with the 7 complaints, roughly, do you know how many hearings the ethics board, how many times the ethics board has met to review the complaints or issue a determination on a complaint?
Well, there was 2 such hearings, and then there was a fine that was levied in 2016.
Right. So the other complaints were deemed not worthy of following up on?
Well, they're all worthy of following up on, but there's a question as to whether or not they're in fact true ethics complaints in accordance to the ordinance.
Okay.
So they were some were dismissed, but in fact the majority were dismissed. The other 2 were acted upon.
So the 2 were the only ones where the findings were, there was an official finding made and released, essentially.
That's correct.
The others did not reach that stage for whatever reasons.
That's correct.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate your work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, you're welcome. Next up is Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Doctor. When do you anticipate possibly putting another training thing together for the employees?
When and if there's a change in the ordinance. The current ordinance really, it needs to be revised with all due respect. It just does not, it just is not working, quite frankly. And there's no point in wasting money in developing training for an ordinance that's very difficult to carry out, quite frankly. And I'm not willing to put in another 100 hours to develop a curricula and then just have it be fruitless because of the need of change for the ordinance.
Okay, is there something that's going to be coming to the board to look at it?
Commissioner Carabelli, there's been a request to all of our commissioners, to the ethics board, to all of the county 5, the elected, about requested revisions for the ethics policy. Dr. Amboyer submitted a host of them, so have a number of other people and departments. So we are now, I think we have everybody's who was planning on submitting, except for Commissioner Kleinfeld, and we're going to bundle them together, let our council look at them and get together and start, figuring this whole thing out, because with all the requested revisions, there's quite a bit of work to do. So that is in the process, and I'm sure you are aware of it because you submitted those requests, and we will be looking at all of them to see what the best thing we can come up with. And not only will we look at them, but we'll work with everybody who submitted them on them too, and discuss this with them. All right, thank you.
On behalf of the Ethics Board, we did submit a list of a minimum of 25 recommendations to enhance the ethics ordinance. And we respectfully submitted them to the board chair, vice chair, and we graciously appreciate the review and taking the suggestions under consideration.
All right, next is Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, you're absolutely correct that it needs to be revised. The last one did as well, because there were sections of it that didn't follow the Open Meetings Act. This one goes too far to the other direction, and there needs to be some changes made to that. And I see some other areas I'd like to simplify or make some changes to. Just so commissioners know, my meeting with regard to this is tomorrow at 11, where I'm going to go over everything I have, and then they'll have everything, and they'll be working on it. So I just wanted you to know that. My question is with regard to the legal. Unless it is a dispute between the ethics board and the county exec's office, wouldn't the legal be assigned by corporate counsel, as we have in other cases? We turned down somebody else who requested their own legal for their budget, because that's what I thought. Steve, did you hear any of that?
I believe you're referring to the clerk's office.
Yeah, but unless a situation arises where there's a legal dispute between the ethics board and the county exec's office, where that puts the corporation counsel in a bad spot. In every other situation, if there were suits filed against them, wouldn't it be out of the corporate counsel's office that the assignment of the attorney comes and the payment for that attorney?
Not to interrupt, but I have to say this. There is no dispute whatsoever with the county executive's office.
No, I'm not,
Nor with the Board of Commissioners.
I think it's very clear, I'm not insinuating that. He understands,
Okay.
I'm laying the groundwork for a question. I don't believe there is one, and I think that everybody understands that,
Right.
so.
Our understanding is the Ethics Board, when the money was appropriated, if in fact that there was a need for outside counsel, in it, that it couldn't, legal services couldn't be provided by Corporation Counsel, we would discuss that with Corporation Counsel. They in turn, and I hate to speak for Mr. Shopka here, but they in turn would decide whether outside counsel would be appropriate to assist the Ethics Board in attain that. And in fact, that did happen this year. So we have a very good working relationship with.
Right. This is actually a financial question.
Okay.
It's not a question for, I know I was a little rough with you the last time. I'm not being rough on you, okay?
Thank you.
It's a question for our finance director relative to how we've done these in the past.
So the way I look at that is that money is there in case Corporation Counsel has to recuse themselves from a case, and the Ethics Board, being sort of an independent body, would have to have its own money for outside counsel. If you'll recall, there's also money in the board office budget and the executive's office in case there's a dispute between those two offices.
Yes.
And similarly, since the Ethics Board is sort of an independent body from those two bodies, they would need their own money for legal services in case of the corporation not recusing themselves.
Okay.
Point of information, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you. Steve, I don't remember it like that, the way it was just explained. I remember we had money in the account for legal services, they needed it. We ended up lowering it down from 50 to 20, the way I remember it. And that if they ever needed it, they would come back to the board and we would they would make a recommendation, would come back to the board and we would approve it. I didn't know that this would circumvent the board and just go to Corporation Counsel for him to hire outside counsel for him. I'm confused.
No, I mean,
No,
that's
he had
how
to
we,
recuse
that's
himself.
how we did it.
Yeah.
We've had other requests for money in their budget for legal, and we have said in those cases that it is the county exec's prerogative, actually, not the individuals, to choose the attorneys. And where are the funds coming out of for the other cases that we were talking about with regard to Ms. Springer? There's some whistleblower. Whose funds are those coming out of?
That would come out of the liability insurance fund. There's chargebacks for all the departments through payroll fund.
Okay, and he doesn't have a big enough budget to have a chargeback. Okay.
Point of information.
Again?
Yes, because you say something again, and I respectfully disagree. I don't understand the office of the executive wouldn't tell them what attorney firm to hire or even corporation counsel. They, on their own, as an independent body, would make their recommendation to the board for them to hire their independent counsel. Unless this all changed, I thought as a separate body, they were supposed to come back for a budget amendment if they needed those funds.
Okay, I was speaking specifically to another situation, and so I was asking what the difference is between the two. So I wasn't speaking specifically to this one as much as I was trying to understand the difference. I'll relinquish, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, Dr. Amboyer, I don't think you realize how much was involved in this volunteer stuff. Are you happy now that you got involved?
I would like some help in recruiting members. We're having difficulty recruiting replacements, but it's been an enjoyable, educational past 5 years, Commissioner. So I look forward to completing my term.
We appreciate your work. I know you got it upstairs, so thanks for taking it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Doctor, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So for fines and forfeitures, year-to-date, $125, correct? That's what I'm looking at right here?
That was a 2016 case where there was a fine levied. The first fine levied of $125 has not yet been collected. There was a fine that was levied in this fiscal year that was collected.
So those fines are folks that come in front of the board and are found guilty and are fined a certain dollar amount because they
There's a provision in the ethics ordinance that the ethics board can fine an individual up to $500 for a civil infraction of being in violation of the ethics board. In a case in 2016, there was an individual that was fined $150. That amount has not yet been paid.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to working on a new ordinance with you because I personally find some of the punishments embarrassing. So I'm looking forward to that. But are there any other commissioners that have any questions? All right. Seeing none, I need a motion to receive and file. Motion by Lucido, seconded by Carabelli. Vote on your iPads. Thank you for coming today, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.